Hey everybody, Marla Evans here, functional nutritionist and owner of Reclaimed Health, here for Weird Food Wednesdays, where you never know what we're going to be cooking. We're going to look at all kinds of weird foods you've never heard of, or maybe you saw it in the grocery store and you thought, what the heck do you do with that? Or maybe we'll look at foods you are familiar with, but we'll turn them into something you never thought of doing with them. You never know what you're going to find on Weird Food Wednesdays, so be sure you tune in and watch. This week, we're looking at alternatives to pasta. I was talking with my students in the Total Energy Upgrade class last week. We were looking at some recipes and ways to tweak them to make them more blood sugar friendly. Because the better we control our blood sugar, the better we control our energy levels and our sleep and all kinds of other stuff. So we were looking over this recipe and it looked amazing. This cheesy Alfredo sauce, yes please. But it said to serve it over pasta. Well, pasta's not low carb. It is not at all blood sugar friendly, yummy as it is. So what do you serve it over? Well, there's all kinds of different options you can use. So I'm going to talk to you today about 3 of them. The first one is a spaghetti squash. Let me show you my oven has a hot spot, so I'll show you the not so burnt side. There you go. This is a spaghetti squash. It's actually a fairly small one. Sometimes they can get quite large. But you just cook it in the oven, just like cookies. I put mine on a cookie sheet, stick it in the oven about 350 for, depends on the size of the squash. This one took about half an hour. Some of the bigger ones may take an hour. I just keep checking on it, and when it's soft, I know it's done. So anyway, spaghetti squash. Why do we call it spaghetti squash? I'll show you. It's pretty fun. Kids love this one. So I'm just going to cut it in half carefully. This is one of the reasons I cook it whole, is because they can be difficult to get into raw, particularly the larger ones, and I don't always have enough strength in my hands to cut a raw squash. So if my husband's not around to cut it for me, I'll just cook it whole. Works fine. So inside, you can see we have a bunch of seeds, just like a pumpkin or any other squash. So we're going to just take a spoon and scrape those out. There we go. And then, this is where the magic happens. This is the part the kids love to see. You take a fork, and the squash actually has, it's like strings in it. Can you see that? Can you see it? And as we drag the fork, it's going to get all over my counter. That's okay. Can you see how it's creating spaghetti? Cool, huh? So you just scrape this baby out. And there you've got you. I probably should have gotten out a bowl. Oh well, hindsight. Like I said, you never know what you're going to find on Weird Food Wednesdays. But there you go. It looks just like spaghetti noodles. So this is great for, like I said, kids or picky husbands or anyone else who is just beginning to make the transition to whole foods, and maybe they're a little bit leery of, ooh, what's this going to taste like? Is it going to be yucky? Is it going to be scary? No, it's a very bland flavor. Just like pasta is fairly bland if you eat it plain. So yeah, you can put any sauce you put over spaghetti or pasta noodles or whatever, you can put over spaghetti squash. It's just a complete, replacement for pasta. It's very good. Freezes well. Cook it. Put it in baggies and stick it in the freezer. It freezes really well. It's mostly available. You can find it year-round, but it'll be most affordable in the fall since it is a fall vegetable. Okay, the next one. I use spaghetti squash a lot, and that's what we ended up using for that cheesy Alfredo sauce. I'll post the link here when we're done. Okay, next one. What's this? Zucchini. Okay, what are we going to do with zucchini? There are a couple of ways you can use zucchini as a replacement for pasta. You can just slice it. You can slice it into like half moons, kind of like that. That's prettier. There you go. You can slice it into half moons or even quarter slices, like this. I need 2 cameras here. Anyway, you can slice it into chunks like this. Lightly steam it, and then use it for macaroni. It's like if you want to make a macaroni and cheese. The thing is, with zucchini, you don't want to cook it for very long because, as you know, when you cook zucchini, it gets soft and mushy, so it wouldn't be a very good pasta replacement like that. So we just very lightly steam it. So that's one way you can do it. Another way, you can actually make spaghetti out of zucchini. Oh, that's weird. No, seriously. I got this gadget. It's called a spiralizer. I got it for about $25 on Amazon. Again, I'll post the link below the video. And so you just take your zucchini, and notice I've cut one end off flat. I also cut the stem end off flat, and I'm going to leave that here, and I'll show you why here in just a second. And you just put it into the pasta, or the spiralizer here. You want to center. There's a little blade right here. I guess I can. Yeah, there you go. See, it's got the little blade, and you want the center of whatever you're cutting right here, centered on that hole. So zucchini has some really tiny little seeds in the middle of them. So this will actually take the seeds out while it makes your noodles. So I'm just going to gently push with one hand while I wind it with the other. Kids love this one too. It's a lot of fun. My grandkids have a blast making zucchini noodles. So there you go. See what we're getting here? Look at this. Is that crazy? Talk about some fun spaghetti. Ha! Really? Right? Now, if you've got the little bitty kids, you know how little bitty ones are always a little bit leery of anything green. They don't want to eat it. You could go and peel your zucchini before making the noodles, and that way it would be all white, just like spaghetti. So you get a little bit less resistance from the little kids. Once they try it, they like it, because again, zucchini is a very mild flavored vegetable. It really doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. So you don't have to worry about that once you get them to try it once. Like I said, just peel it and you won't get the green. But look at how much fun that is. I mean, these go on forever. So there you go. And then this is why I told you to leave the stem on, because you're always going to have that core left over. And by leaving the little cap on the end, that way you're not wasting any zucchini. If I had cut that off flat, you're always going to have about an inch left over at the end. This way I'm not wasting as much of the vegetable. So anyway, that's zucchini noodles, which is just entirely too much fun. You can do the same thing, use the spiralizer for sweet potatoes and do sweet potato noodles. A little bit higher in carb because it's a starchy vegetable. Any firm vegetable, turnips, yucca, those kinds of things you can spiralize. And mine came with several different blades, so they'll cut different shapes. But this is the one I use primarily, is just for spaghetti. So now that we've cut our zucchini noodles, what do we do with them? Well, like I said before, zucchini gets soft and mushy when it's cooked. So you wouldn't want to put this in a pot of water and boil it. It'll just disintegrate. You might want to just very, very lightly steam it, more to warm it up than anything else. Because again, the hotter it gets, the more it's going to get smushy. Or what I usually do is just sprinkle it generously with salt, mix it up real good, and then let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes. The salt will burst open the cell walls in the zucchini and allow them to release their extra moisture. And then after about 10 or 15 minutes, you just drain that off. If you want to, you can rinse the salt off. If you're on a low salt restricted diet, you can rinse the salt off and then eat them. Or what I do, I just drain them, and then whatever sauce I'm making, I just leave the salt out of the sauce, and it ends up being about right. So either way, lightly steamed or just allowed to salt will create a really nice noodle. So there's number one, spaghetti squash, zucchini noodles. Lots of fun. The third one, now this one's really weird. People think I'm completely crazy when I talk about cauliflower rice. What? Yeah. Cauliflower rice. What I've done is I've taken my cauliflower, this one's about a medium-sized head of cauliflower, and I chopped it all up to about 1-inch pieces. When using a food processor, the more consistent the sizes are that go in, the more consistent the sizes will be that come out. Okay? So by making them all about 1 inch, I'm going to end up with what looks like rice. If I had a whole bunch of sizes, if I had a great big chunk and then a little bitty piece, I'd have all kinds of different sizes of rice. So all I'm going to do is put this back in here. One more. There we go. And now we have what looks, can you see that? For all the world, like rice. Hey, how fast was that? You can't cook rice this fast. So now what do we do with it? Well, either put it in a pan with a tiny bit of oil and a little bit of water, saute it until it's tender, and make a stir fry. You could lightly steam your cauliflower first and then pulse it in the food processor to make the rice. Either one works. And then just use it like you would rice in any of your dishes. If you're making some sort of casserole where you would put the rice in a pan with lots of sauce and then stick that in the oven, I would probably do it raw and just allow it to cook with the sauce, because as small as this is, it's going to cook pretty quickly. Either way it works. And so, yeah, I'm going to make my cauliflower rice into a stir fry for this evening. That cheesy Alfredo sauce with peas and kale was so good. I'm going to make some more of that with this. And then I'm making I have this yummy meatball recipe that has, let's see, it's hamburger, turkey, sweet potato, spinach, onion. I don't remember what all else is. Lots of vegetables in the meatballs, making them very, very moist. So I'm going to make my meatballs, make a mushroom gravy, and then instead of serving it over egg noodles, I'm going to serve it over my zucchini noodles. So there are some ideas for replacing your high carb pasta with lower carb options. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like this video. Please share this video. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, comment below or shoot me an email. Thanks. I'll see you next time on Weird Food Wednesday.